yeah. Happy Sunday evening, late night. Hope all is doing well. We come in for a landing here. Feeling for a bit. It's a busy day, busy afternoon. Good day though. Good day. Happy New Week. Bad storms tonight. Lots of bad storms coming through tonight. I thought I would get on. It won't happen here until the middle of the night. So hopefully there will be no damage or destruction. The old dreaded straight line winds. Not good. Lots of heavy rain, wind. Turn cold. Not worried about snow showers, cold or whatever, but those straight line winds, not anything to play with. So prayers for everybody throughout the South and the Midwest, or as these cross the fruited plain and head into our area, about 1 to 3 or 5, 3 being probably the time that it comes through. Always the middle of the night. It's probably going to be some tornadoes spinning out of this. Straight line winds wreaking havoc. Praying everybody has a safe night. We had some straight line winds here once a few years ago. Man, it laid some trees down on the ridges around here. I'm kind of down in a bowl a little bit, just a little bit, not heavy, but a little bit. I think it kind of shields us just a little bit. And I wouldn't say a ton, but we're just down just enough that it definitely hits here hard, but it's not like being on a ridge. So hopeful. I don't want anybody though to have trouble, be it ridge or valley or wherever. But no joke, those will be coming through. Prayers to all that's affecting or affected or will be affecting here in the next few hours. I had a good time this morning on the Sunday morning of the Word. We talked about the rise of the Antichrist. We'll be continuing that next Sunday. We just got into it, just not even in the meat of it yet, but had a good time with that. Thanks to Daryl and others that stopped by this morning. Been working in the studio a lot this afternoon, as well as taking care of my wife, cooking for her, tending to her. But me and my son, we've gotten a lot of stuff done the last day, outside stuff, but also in the studio. I have had in my possession a brand new 32-inch TV/computer monitor that I got for 35 years at my job. It's been sitting in a box for a month. I just haven't had time with everything that's been going on. And I said today I'm going to get it done, and I did. I thought I'd messed up at first. I had one cord plugged in the wrong thing, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm going to switch back. I can't do a show. Got it figured out. It's amazing. Still got a little bit of work to do the electronics. This is going to help us in the studio greatly. We've been doing a lot. We've still got some microphone stuff to do. There'll be a new board and microphones coming soon. That's neither here nor there. But if you watch the show a lot, we're going to have some different camera angles set up soon. And right now we're kind of sharing a mic. But soon and very soon, that will change. So we're working on it. Expanding operations just a little bit. Now calling ourselves, we're always all the nations. We've got the Patriot Nation, Southern Nation, Cornbread Nation, Wolf Nation. You see that right behind me. But the overall name of the podcast is now Southern Patriots TV Radio, or Radio TV. As we're already on radio, I'll be kicking off the radio station. Had a lot of things get done. That's going to happen this week. I hope to have it done today. Didn't quite have time. Won't take me long, but I need to we'll kick that off by the end of the week for sure. It's still playing, just got some old programming. I've got to tie everything in again, and very, very soon TV will be a part of that. So we definitely think of our media that way. Already kind of on TV through the apps, but it's going to be there in a bigger way and down the road. So we went ahead and made some of the logos and stuff say that. So watch the race today if you're into sports. If you're not, I get it. Watch the race. Had a good time with that. Las Vegas. Watched what I could. I was really busy. Shout out to Denny Hamlin. I'm sure that meant a lot to him after not a great start to the season, not horrible, but not great. And his dad dying, of course, in the fire over the off season. And, his family, I'm sure those things are very, very hard. I mean, any kind of death, especially something tragic like that. So shout out to him and prayers to his family. I'm not a Hamlin fan, but I can rejoice with somebody in their win, work their tails off. Chase Elliott second. I think Bubba's around fifth, sixth, not maybe. Reddick was up there. Larson, Gibbs, bunch of people. We'll talk about that tomorrow night. We have the racing hour with an interview. Also, shout out to some of the winners of the weekend. Some of them that didn't win or came in fourth were very happy, fourth or fifth. Felt like they got their cars kind of straightened out. Appreciate those that have been coming on, and I know they don't have the time to watch all the time. But the podcast is always, the media we have here is always for you to share. And we're going to be sharing tomorrow a little bit from a couple of the racetracks that's within an hour's drive of us. We're going to be sharing some of their results. On that note, there was a tragedy at, what was that, Kendall Speedway, Kendall. Two emergency vehicles collided en route to a wreck. And there was an official who was killed and one who was seriously injured. Such tragedy. I'm sure they'll be looking at that. Everybody's just running 90-0, trying to get help to where they need to be, but collided, I guess. I didn't see the story but till late, right before I came on. And, it just, man, whether you're first responder, the gatekeeper, the racers, the track owners, fan, guest, whatever, you don't want to see something like that happen. And, and you'd think it would be the race on the track, but, they're really, safety features are really there. These, not sure of the circumstances, but I understand they were moving pretty quickly. I don't know what they were driving. It could have been ATV. I don't know. Those things can get up there and go, and you're trying to get there. I really don't know what they were riding or in. I'm going to check into that a little more, but nonetheless, prayers and thoughts to them, Kendall Speedway. I think that's the right name. I was just seeing that article before I came up, and I think that's, the Kendall Speedway. Yeah. And I'm trying to see. It was part of the World of Outlaws. Everybody's making. Officials were responding to an earlier incident during staging for the Last Chance Showdown. It began when sprint car driver Marcus Thomas flipped while entering the racing service prior to the LCQ. As safety crews responded to assist Thomas in organized cars preparing to enter the track, two side-by-side vehicles operated by officials collided in the infield. They added the incident remains under investigation, and the remainder of the evening's program was obviously postponed. No names yet. There shouldn't be. Let the families have that time. Very sad. Very, very sad. I hate, you just hate to hear that. No matter who it is or what the situation may be, you just hate to hear that. It's horrible. Trying to go help somebody, and we tend to run very fast. I was, if you ever go back and look at some of the early days of cars, and I know the film kind of does a little quirky because of the kind of film they were using, but still, people were driving really fast. There were no traffic laws. I mean, no traffic lights, no laws. People running every which way. Collisions, deaths, and they started developing roadways, laws, speed limits, stopping places, right of ways, turn signals, all that stuff. And yes, we still have a lot of wrecks. But boy, we were in Mexico once, taking a good old boy taxi from the airport to the hotel. A couple of good old boys. They're not official. They're just trying to earn a buck. And a lot of people like using them because they tend to be, a little safer, a little cheaper even, too, than some of the other ones. my memories of it are two. One, you had to take all the boom boxes, the big old speakers out, and tie them, strap them to the roof to get so more people could get in the vehicle. Big old not an SUV, even. It was like oh, man, not a Bronco, but even bigger. Anyway, the drive from the airport to the hotel, oh my gosh, it was like there was no traffic laws, even though they have lights and all the things there. These guys were jumping into oncoming traffic, going around people on not on the left side in their lane, left side in the oncoming traffic lane, crossing over mediums just to the floor as often as they could get it because they wanted to get there as quick as possible, get their money, and get to the next one. And my wife looks at me and says, "We're going to die." And I confidently, at least she saw confidence, said, "Oh no, God sent us here to do a work. He's not going to let that happen." Then I look around, thinking, "We're going to die." I'd look back at her and give her a smile. "Yeah, check that out." And she'd be like, "Are you crazy? These guys are nuts." I said, "Well, that's the way they drive around the world. Uh, not fun, but we made it. We come up to a screeching halt in front of the hotel. It was one of those where you're going forward and then backward. Forget seatbelts. There were no seatbelts. They didn't even have them. It was just people, the whole trip was like this. I mean, it was just crazy. And the city transportation was even worse. It's like jump on, jump off, literally. It's like they don't want to stop. They just want to keep going. You kind of do a little jump. My wife, I was worried about her. She's kind of short. I just kind of grabbed her and pulled her off and set her down. We were like younger back then. We wouldn't be able to do it now. We'd blow a knee out. Of course, my wife wouldn't even be able to do it at all. The problems that she's had, I couldn't imagine trying to do that now. I've got a knee that's not the best. It's not horrible. It's I'm not like I'm ready for a knee replacement. I think I strained some ligaments years ago, and it's not as strong as it used to be. I'll be 61 this year, so maybe it'll last me till I'll get a new knee. I don't know. The president says today, in a little bit of news, he's going to announce the Hormuz Ship Escort Coalition. So several countries have joined. I would, without even looking, I'm sure that Russia and China and North Korea are not be involved in that. The coalition. Let's see who's involved. Well, doesn't really say. Maybe they're going to announce that as they announce it. Anyway, didn't really get into it. There may be somewhere else. This article does not show it. But anyway, we're sure it's France and some of the other nations there that want to see these goods safely delivered to their destinations for money-making purposes, especially the oil. Trump did say that he declined to say whether Beijing had agreed to participate in the proposed naval effort. I don't think they'll be involved. He did say, though, that hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK and others that are affected will send ships to the area. This is something that's going to be ongoing. I was listening to a little video today by Dick Morris. He's a contributor to has been for different news organizations. I think Fox News for years. And he made a good point in this article. I keep saying article. It was an article, but it was a video. And he said that the President Trump has to be careful that this Iran does not become a trap, something he's tied to. And he mentioned other presidents that had become tied to what was seemingly going to be very quick wars or conflicts, military, whatever. And that this could easily bog down the president, in the second part of his term, and would not be good for him. And he named off some of them, and certainly we've had many presidents that have gotten bogged down into certain things, conflicts, and the damage that it done. He said this is his opinion, Dick Morris, his opinion, that the president's biggest problem, not fear, I don't think he fears anything. His biggest problem was that he believed through military might alone, from planes, missiles, drones, whatever, that the Iranians will just turn the country over. It's not going to happen. I've always said that. They're not going to surrender. they, the place would be a wasteland. It'd be Mad Max, and they still wouldn't surrender. That's not going to happen. They might back off. They might agree to some false, you know, conditions, and I doubt that's even possible. Just to get more time to attack again, they're not going to do that. And the president's made some promises here, and it could become something that really bogs him down. And the time frame has bounced all over the place. First, it was going to be, about 4 weeks and 4 to 6 weeks. Then, we might have this thing mopped up in a week. We've already knocked out 80, 90% of what they have. This is not a big deal, but it is a big deal. More Marines and other personnel are headed to the area. Of course, we lost 2 planes into the week, over the weekend, or towards the end of the week, and lost all those Air Force personnel. Are horrible, absolutely horrible. They might have been with others. I didn't notice. I mean, we say air because they're in the air. It could have been Air Force. I don't remember which branch they were. It could have been Navy, even Marine. I don't remember that part. But we do know they passed in that collision. But more are on the way. And we'll just have to see how many. Right now, it's just to continue to support. We're firing a lot of munitions. One of the admirals said the U.S. expected Iran to target Hormuz Strait. I think everybody realized that. Pete King says the Strait of Hormuz will decide Iran conflict. Trump warns of more Iran strikes, urges allies to Hormuz. Trump says not ready to make deal on ending war. And now Strait of Hormuz is now the front line. Trump calls for warships to keep Hormuz open. So the Iranians have said every other nation could go through, which I don't believe them. But Israel and American flagged ships. I don't believe that for 1 minute. But Pete King says ultimately it's not going to be easy. He said on Newsmax's Wake Up America weekend, it's going to be tough job. I think it can be done. I think the president will be able to mobilize enough support to get it done. Speaking of the Strait, Trump said Saturday after strikes on Iran's Karg Island that multiple nations would send warships alongside the USA to ensure the Strait of Hormuz remains open. He said the narrow waterways have become the central strategic battleground of the conflict. To me, right now, the whole war is going to revolve around the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm positive that President Trump will find a way to get that cleared. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy war, but it is one we will win. Despite continued missile attacks, King said Iran's remaining capabilities largely reflect asymmetric tactics rather than traditional military strength. The reality is they have virtually no military power left. And what they have is to resort to this type of asymmetrical warfare, which is still significant, but they are losing their power as a nation state. Still, King warned Iran may attempt to prolong the conflict by disrupting the Strait of Hormuz in hopes of triggering economic pressure inside the United States. The key is that they have to keep the Strait of Hormuz not functioning. If they do that, they are banking on the United States citizens getting sick of this and gas prices increasing and clamoring for change, and also the potential for terrorist threats within the United States. Very possible. Unless it was something major, I don't think the ones inside the nation, although tragic, would force change on what we're doing. Gas prices might after a time, but it'd have to be extremely high gas prices, not $3 and something a gallon. They're probably on the area of 5 and 6 and higher on the majority of the United States. That would cause some kind of sort of condition. But this president does not like to back off. He likes to get what he wants, and I think with the right situation set up, they can keep the strait open. And we're going to be patrolling in the area anyway. It's not like we're leaving. We may just not be flying sorties, or we may just to make sure that they're not rebuilding something. We could hit it again. But if they could get the strait opened up enough that it wouldn't be, very minimal, if anything, that there would be danger to any ships passing through. I think that's would pretty much wrap up everything. It's always been an issue, but I think you're going to have to. I've said it recently you're going to have to establish a beachhead somewhere there, work in conjunction with another nation. We don't have to have that land. We can have just pure naval, but you need stuff, without having to sell out. You need to have some sort of way to resupply, besides having to wait on ships. You could have things stored there. Also set up Patriot batteries, use of lasers, whatever, to identify. And really, once you get most of those down, and you keep hitting their missile making, drone making capabilities, limit those kind of things coming in the nation that can make those. That'd be one like a lucky shot kind of thing. They would just fire them intermittently, trying to do just that because they don't have anything else. They have no air force, they have no navy, they have no uh, telecommunications. I'm sure is shot. The anti-aircraft, all those positions have been knocked out. Most of the rocket launchers, 80+% of them, maybe 90 by now, have been knocked out. And this includes many of the mobile rocket launchers. There'll be more. They probably got some hid. They'll be looking for lucky shots, but eventually they're going to run out of ability to do even that. So he's probably right. They're waiting on time. Can we get them out of here? Can we still be firing up a shot or two and looking tough to our neighbors? But the fact that the United States asked American personnel to get out of Iraq, that's alarming. So everybody wants to see it button up. Nobody, we didn't even want to be there. There are those who hate it. They're calling it the Israel war. And I understand all those things, but for the many people, they're thinking, well, this country is horrible. They are a danger to our military personnel in the region and the other member states, and that has been shown in this. So they had, it was just a matter of time before they started doing it anyway. We escalated that by the move we made. They weren't, they weren't going to play ball. So uh, honestly, and you hate for any loss of life among military personnel. You really, I mean, I wouldn't think any American would be happy about that or pleased about that. Be very saddened by that. Hey, Doc, how you doing, bud? I think that the fact that we've lost as few as we have with this type of operation ongoing is, although I don't want to minimize that, one is too many, and it's sad for especially our family. Their lives are forever changed. But I would say, just looking at it from a numbers kind of standpoint, pretty amazing that there's not been more, and it shows you the dominance that we have. And although, and some of those were on the ground, but again, that's the danger. But we're talking 13, 15, somewhere in there, and some injured. But that's minuscule. We think of what it could be, and so I think, and I don't know what happened with the collision. I'm not sure why that happened the way it happened. But those refuels, and these are planes colliding. Those refuels are dangerous, and I'm no expert. I've never been in a military plane where they've done that, but I've watched the videos and I've listened to the people who are, and we do it. We do it a lot as military to extend our range or to extend them in the air around a target, maybe jamming planes or something like that. But it's still dangerous. I mean, we're talking about planes flying in turbulence, and you've got this pipe that's extending out of one, going into the other one. It has a little bit of play there, not much, and hundreds, if not thousands, of gallons of fuel that are flowing into the plane from this other one. That's they always say, I mean, that you could be a pilot. That's another level of piloting right there. That is a whole nother level. That's not just taking off and landing. Hey, Brentley Horton, how you doing, bud? Thanks for the lot. But still, helicopters are those things falls like rocks if anything goes wrong. So I have great respect for all those. Just getting a plane in the air, there's always dangers with that, especially those off the aircraft carriers. I mean, there's a lot of things that go wrong, and once they start these operations, they're like 24/7. You've got crews going on, crews going off. And every sortie that you fly raises the risk level that something's going to go wrong electronically, mechanically, a lucky shot, um, friendly fire, as we've seen early on. These nations are not huge in some cases. With our capability to fly so fast, we can easily get over other people's territory. You know, that's happened. Maybe we had permission. Maybe we did. I don't know on that, but we definitely see, um, those kind of things happen. Wind, storm, whatever. Not, I can't imagine landing on a carrier at night. They practice, they train for all this stuff. They're the best of the best in the world, but still, you're flying into a postage stamp on a floating postage stamp as it looks from the air on the high seas. I've talked to some people that have been on planes that landed. They were being sent to the carrier, and they were sick well before they got there. They're flying on, just being bounced around everything. When they looked and seen where they were going down to, man, they had to just close their eyes. They're like, oh my gosh, because they land and they have the hydraulics and steam and all that, and they're catching that hook and then stopping within a short distance. I can imagine the G's that's with that, and then when they're taking off, just being slammed back, and I mean, they look large and they are large in a lot of ways, but to a plane flying down the runway, it's not that large. I mean, you got to hit it right, or you're in the ocean. So you're doing these operations. There's all kind of pilot error. There's a lot of things that can happen, and so pretty amazing, honestly, that we've not had more. And not that I ever thought that Iran had a great navy or a great air force or anything like that. Or they do have pretty good missile drone capability. I mean, they've been developing that for some time under tutelage from others. But uh, it only takes one shot. We've seen the videos of the some of our fighter jets outrunning, throwing out the countermeasures and whatever, and almost being hit. I mean, that's when your life is flashing for your eyes. You don't even have time to think about it. You're just flying with all of your might and all your skill and some of this is the first time they've ever really, I mean, it's not something we do, every day or every year. So some of these pilots, I'm sure, maybe most of them, the younger ones, they've never been in a conflict. They've never had to avoid, SAM missiles or whatever they're using now. That's one I always think of. You know, they've never had to do that. They practice it. They do drills. They do simulators. They do all that. But man, that simulator is one thing, but having a hot one running up your tailpipe, and you're trying to throw that thing off, and we did have those that had to bail out, planes going down. What a lady. The lady pilot smiling and everything. I mean, it's like she's like rode a ride at the carnival. Like, yeah, okay. We got one pilot. They're picking up pots and shovels and everything else to hit him. They think he's Iranian. And like, hey, stop! And she's out there. It's almost like she's signing autographs. Like, hey, yeah, dropped in on you, didn't I? It's the funniest thing. But she's got to be a character. I'd love to talk to her. Wow. Seriously, it's like she just did the bungee jump off of a big bridge. Never done it before. Just jumped down. Like, hey, that was great. Let's go up and do it again. And then, of course, the work of our special forces, CIA, the spy network. It's all dangerous. And I mentioned that the guy, the Iranian video I seen, the Iranian who said, "All you people concerned about Iranian deaths right now, where were you when hundreds of thousands of people have been killed by our own citizenry?" And but it's, again, people want this over. I want it over. Everybody wants it over. Get them home. We're over 2 weeks, or right after that, a little over, whatever it is. Let's get our. I mean, they're not coming home, but continue to sell, and keep peace in the world, and look out for our interest as well. And that's just the case we have. Spartan, how you doing, bud? USA needs regime change. I would like to see all these Israel first politicians face trial for treason. Gallows, Iran is for Israel. And I just mentioned there were many who see that as the totality of the reason for that. I understand it. My point has always been, we're there. Let's take care of business. Let's get home. Iran's no, they're not. It's not like we're invading Mayberry, or not even invading, that we're bombing. These are some bad leaders. These are, and it's not only. I mean, yes, would it support? Does it support Israel in the region? Yes, obviously, and we've been allies with them for a long time. But we do have bases over there, and we do. If we can knock out, I'm for the. If we can knock out capabilities of missile drone, and their capability, I would like that while we're there. So, Iran had a religious ban on nuclear weapons. Trump killed the person who created that ban. So, well, they're lighting up all the leaders, that's for sure. Um, I don't know whether they had a ban or not. I mean, they have made the threat to do it. So, do you really believe that they would honor those things? I mean, it just seems like they can't get along with any other nation except for maybe Russia, China, North Korea. I mean, have they set them up as a nation state that is looking for to be a good neighbor? I'm not justifying that for us being over there. I would just ask the question: has Iran, its leaders, the Iranian people are wonderful. I love those that I've met that are from there, and you know the creativity they have, the artistry they have, and all that. I'm just saying, did they, because they have, made threats, whether they would have acted on them? I mean, why do you need that many missiles and drones? I mean, you don't need that for defense. I would just say, um, you know, they've definitely been a state supporter of, sponsor of terrorism in the region. I mean, they are the main supplier of, rather, weaponry, bullets, rocket launchers, whatever, in many areas. I mean, that's what they've done. But I don't want to see it leveled or nothing like that. I'm not saying that. I want to see the lead. I like to see. I don't even know if they'll have regime change. I seriously doubt it. That cannot be mission statement for us. It has to be knock out these things in the region, get out, or in the region, their capability. Um, it's going to go on. We've got to get out anyway, because it will be. Well, they spend a lot more money than a lot of people have for terrorism. I mean, they do support Hezbollah and Hamas and many of those that are in the region, and those people are waging war every day. And I understand your feelings about Israel, but Israel does and is surrounded by people who would love to see it destroyed. And so that's the gist of the Middle East. I mean, that has always been. It always had, and it always will. Well, I'm going to say always, because this will end one day, but it has been. Um, it's an ongoing tit for tat, I guess I would say. Some nations have, we do have the coalition of nations. There are those that have, joined in a coalition and recognized Israel, such as some of the ones like Qatar and different ones. But it's tedious, It's always, and that's the way we see that in the end times. That whole region is a radar center of the world, spiritually, because all of that's going to happen is happening in that region. And the Bible says in the end times, all nations will turn against Israel, and God has to come to their defense. I mean, and then peace. Then we get peace. I mean, that's drilling it down pretty small in a quick synopsis, but without that, they're utterly destroyed. So we're going to see the nations march on Israel, land wars, air wars. I mean, these are going to happen. I just think these are all precursors to that. Um, you know, comes down to 9/11. Israel did. That was the war, and I've heard that. I don't know if I buy all of it. Were they involved? I don't know. I've seen videos. I hear a lot of people all over the place on that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, um, they're definitely. I mean, they're after their own interest. I get that, but no, he's well. I would disagree with you there. He is a real estate agent. It's all his. It's all his, and he has given land to people in the Bible. So I would disagree with that statement on that basis that all the land in every nation belongs to God. He created it. It's his. And he can do with it as he pleases. So I understand all about the Rothschilds and people of the modern nation of Israel, but it's God's land, and he will be the one to decide who, what, when, and where eventually. I mean, that'll all come to a head. So he is a real estate agent. It's all his. All creation is his, whether it's on Mars or the moon or some planet we can't even see that's so far away from us in my lifetime we'll never see it. It's all his. He is the creator. I did a study once and I loved it. It was absolutely fascinating. Um, I agree with you on that. Yeah, there's a lot of bad conspiracies. I get that, and they flash a lot of stuff up. But I did a study on creation in this well throughout the Bible, and there's the obvious ones where he's Genesis where he's dealing with creation, but all the verses in like the book of Psalms that deal with creation. It was a wonderful study. We did like Wednesday nights on that for a good while. I had some material that helped me study, and I have the Bible, but it was helping me see some of that. And sometimes I wasn't even thinking about it in that way, but it was a wonderful study about just the creation of God. Loved it. I would love to go through that again. It's been a number of years. The very first church that I was with, we did that on Wednesday nights, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. I hope they did. Of course, you never know. Somebody probably badmouth the preacher. I wish you'd do something else. I quit worrying about that a long time ago. You do what you feel like you're supposed to do, and you can never please everybody, right? It's like on here. Lord knows I can never please everybody, no matter what I say. But I do appreciate your dialogue, Spartan. I really do. Um, and I see a lot of. I try to look at every situation from every side. I really do. My mind sort of works that way. That's why I always thought that in another in another way, instead of being what I've been in life, I could have easily been a defense lawyer. Because when I see something happen, I look at all the different. I'm not just looking at it one way. I mean, I'll have friends, and granted, I may be agreeing with them that the person that did a crime, maybe they've killed many, they need to, have the death penalty. But my mind goes to a defense lawyer's mindset of how would I defend this abhorrent person if it was me tasked with the doing that, and I start seeing little things that I don't know why I'm that way. Oh sure, oh yeah, well that happens, but that's not every one of them, Spartan. Oh yeah, man. Hey man, I've done witnessing in Jewish areas in America. I've met the wonderful to the mean. I've met those that gave me lemonade and cake that were not Christian. To those I met who were Christian, to those who screamed at me and tried to attack me and run me off of their, threatened my life and all that. I've seen it all. I've got many friends. I know Jews are not Christian, but God does have a plan for all mankind, and it's all things are. And I pray for. Listen, I love just as much as I love everybody the same. If it doesn't matter who somebody is in front of me, and for that person that did that, I would be praying for them. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it at all. Who would? We're human, but I would pray for them. There's a great story by Dr. Jacob Gardenhouse. He was from Austria. He was an Austrian Jew. And long story short, he came to America. He was in the hat business, and his brother had gotten saved. And anyway, he had witnessed to Jacob, his younger brother, quite often, and Jacob wasn't having no part of it. But then later on, he accepted, and right after he accepted, he came out the street of, I think it was in Chicago. He ran out the street and said, I found him. I found Messiah. And he got beat up by his own. I mean, he got beat within an inch of his life. But there's a story. He was down in Augusta, Georgia, which is in my state. And he was going into Jewish shops and he was giving them literature on meetings that he was having as he was trying to reach them for Jesus Christ, the Messiah. And this guy started hitting him, and they kind of rolled out in the street as he's trying to, get this guy off of him and everything. They both got arrested for fighting. So he calls a pastor friend of his that was in the area. I think he was going to be speaking at his church. Can you imagine? the guy that's coming to speak at your church, he calls from the jail, is one phone call. And he says, I need you to come get me out of jail. Jail. So he gets there and he says, you got any more money on you? Pastor says, yeah, Lily, why? He said, I want you to get the other guy out too. He said, you've got to be kidding. He said, no. He said, I want you to get him out. And he did. And the guy was so moved, so moved. He didn't accept that day. I think later on maybe he did, but I don't know that part. He helped Jacob and the pastor give out the rest of the literature for the rest of the day. He couldn't believe it. And he made a friend that day. And I could go to places in America, and I could be attacked by many, many, many different people groups. Some are more aggressive than others. You got to be careful when you're on the Jewish side. I mean, if I'm in a Orthodox area, I've had great visits, but I've also had those that were a little. You got to be careful. You got to be wise. But some people are so, and this is the thing. Everybody believes that most human beings are not even faithful to whatever their faith is nowadays. And for the Jewish people, most of them they don't even go. They don't go. They don't have anything to do. They just, especially those in America, they just work, live life. And you talk to them and they're just like, it's part of what they were, they're very liberal in their beliefs. I mean, but then you have those that are very hardcore, and that could be in anything. And I know many in many different faiths like that. I mean, they're false because it's not Jesus, but I get it. But Spartan says, the way I see it, if Jews are fighting a war to enslave humanity and they are winning, Iran is the last strong country in the region, preventing Israel from dominating the region. Well, that's even if they dominate, that is so temporary. Because the end story for them before this thing all wraps up, we go into eternity future is pretty ugly. Pretty ugly. The scriptures are pretty clear, and their future is rough. Half of Jerusalem taken, half the people, women, and children taken. It's pretty ugly. I mean, it's we don't know all of it, but what we do know is pretty ugly. But I get it. They are heavy-handed. They're vengeful. They will always, they throw the olive branch, and there has been times that they have attacked when they agreed not to attack. They've done all that. I've never defended all their actions or anything. They know that they need America to help support them financially and militarily and all that stuff, and they work that angle, and they are in the pockets of a lot of politicians. I wouldn't want any of our politicians to be taking money from anybody. Any group, any foreign group, whether that's Saudi Arabia, Israel, wherever. I wouldn't want that to happen. Of course, a lot of that money is from here. I get it because it's based here and it's funded a lot from here. I'm sure there's money cycling in from there. I get it. Do I think they have? I mean, and again, because I'm not there, I can only go by what people are reporting, what I've seen. Did they have to go as heavy in Gaza as they did? No, I don't think they did. No. It was an opportunity because of what happened. Some say they allowed it to happen. It's still never been answered to. Israel's own citizens want answers. How did that happen? How did that lacks in your security? Some say they allowed it to happen so they could do that. And when they did, and they went heavy. And now, do they need to be there bombing Iran with us? No. I agree. I agree. They do not. It's not really a good look for us. It has dangers in it because, here's all these neighbors and they're like, okay, I can only say so much. You've got, Israel bombing the snot. Actually, they've got more tonnage than we have, a lot more. Well, if they did some of their own, there was definitely those from the other side that came in and did it too. I mean, come on, they bragged about it and had photos of it, and I mean, there was, I believe, an allowance of that to happen Whether it was on that scale or not, I don't know. I can't answer that. But Israel's never that lax on their security, never. And that's unbelievable. So I don't buy that they just were that good and they came in on crap machines and stuff. So yeah, it was allowed to happen. Did they facilitate it? Maybe, but all of them were not IDF people because those were people that were known Hamas members and everything else that took people back over. And so yeah, they were celebrated for what they did in their own regions. Um, well, I mean, and we could we not say the same thing here? Is there been people in our own nation that have done the things in our own nation for political gain? Wouldn't that mean we're just as sick as a nation that would allow stuff like that to happen? Sure. There's just evil. I mean, there's evil. There's greed. People that want war, they got their agendas and they like to generate war for money and power and whatever else. But so yeah, all of our wars have had questions about what we knew, when we knew it, what did we allow. So yeah, um, there was an Israeli who said that the board they have goes off even if a cat tries to cross it. They have they have surveillance, sure. Um, but listen, I get it. You don't like Israel, you don't like the Jewish people. I get that, but sometimes I think that clouds because I have many people come in here and it's all basically the same message. But I have found there's nothing 100% except Jesus. There is nothing 100%. It's nothing 100% clean in operations we do. There's nothing that's 100% dirty. Meaning there are people over there doing a job that they're there to do, and somebody's going to come out and it's going to be to the positive. There's also going to be some bad because that's what happens when you get that. So I don't paint the brush 100% over anything because if we did, it would already be wrapped up. If all these entities were that good, it would already be over. We would already be enslaved globally. But good people fought back against those things, and we stand against it, and so we push those things back. And as long as there are Christians praying in this world, God is moving on their behalf. He is orchestrating the whole thing, and we know that these nations are going to be a part. So that there's not going to be total destruction of anybody. It's going to be ugly, and there's going to be a lot of destruction. But it's going to get uglier, and for all nations to turn against Israel, it's going to have to get a lot uglier. And it won't take that much. There'll be something that happens. When, who knows? There will be something that happens that makes the world so angry that all the nations are going to come against them. And that's what we find in the scripture. So, okay, Spartan, yeah. I just think that anything that is not well, sure. I mean, I don't. And again, we have our own problems here in America where we have done, I mean, bad things too. I mean, we could look at the treatment of the American Indian, for instance, or the treatment of enslaving other individuals. And that wasn't just, although it was predominantly one, there were many different types of people enslaved, and even by their own. So I think that we all have that shame in the past and in the future, in the present, and in the future as well as nations. I don't mean every single person, but I've never done it, and most people don't. But there are those that, I mean, powerful people want to enslave people for sure, and control us. I mean, there are people out there that call for the enslavement of anybody that's associated with MAGA or President Trump. I mean, there were actively people, entertainers, powerful people talking about re-education camps openly that we should be put there. I mean, it's there's nothing new under the sun, and is evil in every area of the world, and it's I don't like to see our politicians' hands, anybody in our politicians' pockets for sure. And I don't think we should have forever politicians. I think they should be term limits, and we can help clamp some of that down as we do that. will never stop it at all till the end of times and Christ appears. But I do. Um, but I would put, we have dangers in our own nation too, and we need to clean it up. I mean, we've still got a lot going on here, and although there's still ongoing operations, look at what this war has done. I would look more than it's just not just an Israeli operation, although that definitely is there. What's it done at home? Nobody's talking about the borders anymore. Not much. Nobody's talking about that. Epstein, that's down in the news, still there a little bit, nothing like it was. And yeah, I understand people thinking that's emanated strictly from Israel, the rest of the world, but still, whatever part people played in here, you don't hear anything about that. The Russia-Ukraine war, it's like almost not even mentioned anymore. It's totally off of the map. There's a little buried deep within news sites, these articles about it, but they get no national airtime or very, very little. It has drilled down and it has stopped being talked about, and all that's being talked about is this. So there are politicians loving that. A lot of people are angry with the president because they said, "Listen, we didn't sign up for war. You said no new wars." And I think there's dangers about some of these people that are surrounding the president. I think the first time he had a bunch of idiots around him. I mean, some real idiots, and it hurt him at times. This time he's got the same type, but they come in different clothing. He's got some people around him. Yeah, he's had some people around him who are still idiots. Not as many, but he's got some. But he's got some people around him that, are praying over him and praying with him. They're speaking in his ear, and I wonder what some of that messaging is, because I think they've had a part to play in this as well. I really do. And some of them I'm okay with, some of them I don't care for at all. And I'm meaning the faith-based supporters, his camp, his group that lay hands on him and pray over him and with him. There's some people in that crowd I'm not a fan of. I'll let God handle that. But there are some that I think are really have always tried to, be straight down the line and stay biblical. But there's some other ones. They're crazy. I'm not naming names right now because I don't even know all the names, but there's a couple of faces that I know and a couple of names, but they're just crazy. They totally misapply the scriptures, and it's fantasy land. And these are the ones that's guiding him on a faith-based level. That's scary. And I don't even know where his faith is at. Is he really a believer? I have no clue. I have no clue. I don't know that he's ever said he is. I think he's alluded to it, but would I put the odds that he is not more than he is? Yeah, I would. But he is supportive, at least vocally, to those things. And, I would, I think that and I really think sometimes there's a lot that he's in his ear, the Joint Chiefs, all the daily intel that comes in. But on the flip side of it, the president's very kind of level about certain things that he does. Number one, he is putting he wants pride back in America, the American power, respect, and world leader and all that. He really wants that. He's really gotten into this America 250 or whatever it is, and he's wanting a big win for that. He's had the parade. He's wanting a big win for this to flex the American military muscle. And I think there's a lot that plays into this. On one side, it's not the totality of what is going on here, but man, I really do believe it's like John Wayne syndrome. We're going to go out, we're going to light him up, and we're going to. So I think in this way, Dick Morris was correct in what he said. It's a trap. The president better be careful. Now, he thinks he can navigate it and get out of it, but it is definitely troubling. What's happening with some of that. Absolutely. Because the longer we stay, the more dangerous it becomes. This operation has got to be mopped up pretty quick. If they could just straighten out the Strait of Hormuz, I'm forgetting the heck out now. We've knocked out their Navy, military, all that stuff. But I think there's a possibility here that a foreign power over there may invade them. This is another danger you have. If they've been weakened, now they still have a lot of tanks and a lot of military, but if they've been weakened that much, could another nation over there say, you know what? I kind of like to take it to Iran and get some of what they got, their riches. You know, you just never know about stuff like this. Throwing off the balance of power in the Middle East has never been a good thing. It's never worked out. And we have paid dearly for it. I said from the beginning, I didn't want us over there. I didn't want us in Gaza. I don't want us part of the Gaza peace plan. There's never been an agreement on the 22 steps of the peace plan, and they never agreed to anything. But they've got this new board. They've got this, supposedly, everybody has a seat at the table. There's going to be money being donated from member states. There's fears at the UN that he's creating his own kind of UN delegation or whatever. I don't know. That whole thing makes me really fearful of what's going to happen. Just get the heck out. I mean, get out. Get the heck out of there. I'm for that. I don't want us there. I want us to come home. I've never said that. All I said is that while we're there, pray for the men and women and of our military that we come home. So good stuff tonight, man. I appreciate all the comments and good discussion. I appreciate you coming in here, Spartan. I miss seeing you, man. It's been a long time. I saw you a couple of times recently. I hope you're well. You and your family. Hey, I love everybody. I do. I don't know. I certainly don't think everybody loves me, but I do love everybody. I try to pray for my enemies, and it's not easy. I'm as guilty as anybody of getting. I get angry, and I have to catch myself and really pray about it. Repent. I don't want to carry around bitterness or stuff, and I hate what the because in every area, whether it's Gaza or whether it's Iran or wherever, there's just decent people trying to live their life and eat, have kids. Nobody wants to hear bombs dropping or explosions. I mean, nobody wants that. Nobody. But they it is a divided nation because there's a lot, and it is the tribal aspect, the Shia, Sunni, and all that. And they're, women's, it's just different. And we're never going to make it, we're never going to westernize them. That has to happen from within. Westernized to whatever level. And I'm not saying fully like America or nothing, but they, the young people, they see the culture, they see the movies, the music, the products. They see it just like the other nation, the Amazon, the Temu, the Shein, whatever. And they want, they want the latest styles the young people do. They want to listen to music. And it's horrible when you have these citizens that are being, tortured, killed, whatever, whether that's Iraq, Iran, wherever it's at. It's horrible. And so I hate it for people like that. And, so whatever nation, whatever is going on within those nations and the evil that they have within their own nation, which has nothing to do with anybody else, the evil that they have within their own nation, including ours. A lot of good people suffer at that. And so we got to clean that up. And you'll never stop all that. So, like I said, this operation needs to clean up pretty quick. I use the expression "get home." They're not going to come home. They're going to continue to sell and keep a footprint with the carrier groups in different areas of the world. That's just the way it rolls. And I certainly can't change it. I barely have the power to flip a light switch on and off. But it is fun to talk about. It's interesting to talk about, from the different perspectives. And, so hopefully that will happen. Hopefully that will happen soon. And like I said, nothing I say is going to change it, but I enjoy talking about it. I do. And, hopefully we'll see no more loss of life, and it'll wrap up pretty quick. But the fighting we know is not going to stop. There's going to be ongoing conflicts in the Middle East, sure. But let's get out. I was for doing all that we can do at home and not having to worry about anything that's coming in from those areas, and they can have their straight. The nations over there can deal with it, but that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. I mean, America's not at this point. In the future, maybe, but at this point, they're not going to just keep the ships sitting around all the borders of America, 100 miles out and never moving. That's not going to happen. So we just have to. We're kind of stuck in the middle of this great story that goes on, and it changes course, and different politicians have different agendas, and some don't intercede in some things, some do, some lightly, some heavily, and it just continues, and we're just caught along for the ride. Unless, like I say, we're a soldier over there and we're in the middle of it. It's not a ride, then it's real. And but I don't want to see anybody killed. I don't really know. I mean, there are some people that really relish in the idea of death. I don't. I don't want to see people dying. I see people make a lot of comments, and that's their freedom to make them, and they make hard comments. I try not to. You know, for every death, I mean that's another one that's doomed forever, most likely. So, but that's some of the things that was in the news. Just a couple things, and didn't mean to spend so much time there. I just wanted to come in late night. Like I said, I was just going to see who was up and who's going on. God bless you all, and um, God bless you all on Instagram. It's like the sea time. Our president was telling everyone to stay indoors, and he goes out partying. Um, the governments are all corrupt. I agree with you, two kindred cords. I agree with you. It's dangerous, and it's having to go with the UK. Yeah, Barack Obama was Barack Obama was the best. I think Barack. Okay, where am I from? You're from Texas. I'm from the great state of Georgia. Well, I think they've already kind of went off the air, so I'm sorry. We were limited in how long we could stay on that channel, so maybe they can still hear me. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was going to stay on about an hour. I need to get up with my wife. It's got to get her to bed. Got an early morning. All the kids are on a 2-hour delay today or tomorrow due to the heavy storms that's coming into our area. It's going to be rocking here within just a few hours. And batten down the hatches, pray for people across the region. Straight line winds, possibility of tornadoes, heavy rain, lightning, just a fun time. And then a big drop in temperature behind this storm. So I pray for all the people. Be safe out there, folks. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night. And we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, as long as we have power and everything's good in the studio, I'll see you in the morning for the Cornbread Man morning show. We'll kind of get caught up as we kick off our Monday, and we'll see what's going on. We'll check on a few things. Grab our cup of coffee and kind of go from there. God bless you, Watchman, Spartan, others, two kindred cords that was in there. Others, I don't know their name. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, yeah, and the like from our friend there on Facebook, Brantley Horton. Thank you for that. We'll have a good night. I'm going to get off of here and go rest. I don't rest like I wished I did, but I try. Take care, friends. God bless.